fantastic job. I love it. I'm going to try to go through this. First time I ever taught this, I had this big, long, profound whatever where I read all this stuff, but I'm going to skip through a lot of this because I just want to get to the point. The Little Engine That Could is an illustrated children's book that was first published in the United States in 1930 by Platt and Monk. The story is used to teach children the value of optimism and hard work. Based on a 2007 online poll, the National Education Associates named the book one of teachers' top 100 books. 2011, readers of the story of The Engine That Thought It Could, the story's signature phrase such as, "I think I can, I think I can." So basically all this does is just goes on to how it got started, and it started off as just kind of like campfire tales people would tell their children, and then it morphed into what we know of today, where it talks about the incarnation of the story of the Little Engine That Could. And it was first penned completely by Waddy Piper, a pen name of Arnold Monk, who was the owner of the publishing house Platt and Monk. Arnold Monk was born in Hungary, and as a child moved with his family to the United States, settling in Chicago. Later, he moved to New York, Platt and Monk's offices, and Arnold Monk died. Arnold Monk used the name Waddy Piper as both an author of children's book and an editor of many books. So basically what we're looking at here, the story of the Little Engine That Could, has been told many times. Underlying the theme is the same. A standard is a train unable to find an engine, a train conductor is unable to find an engine willing to take it over a difficult terrain to its destination. Only the blue engine is willing to try, while basically saying the same thing over, "I think I can, I think I can," overcomes a seemingly impossible task. An early version goes as follows. A little railroad engine was employed about a station yard for such work as it was built for. It's hard to believe that you can find a bunch of profound meanings in a children's book, but you can. It was built for a purpose. It was built for a design. Pulling a few cars on and off switches, one morning it was waiting for the next call when a long train of freight cars asked a large engine in the roadhouse to take it over the hill. "I can't. That's too much for me to pull," said the great engine. Built for hard work. Then the train asked another engine, and then another engine, and another engine, and finally it decided that it was going to do it itself, and as it pushes up the hill, it just keeps repeating the phrase, "I think I can, I think I can." And believe it or not, this is somewhat mirrored in Daniel 10, 1 through 13. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a message was revealed to Daniel, whose name was called Belteshazzar. The message was true, but appointed time was long, and he understood the message and had understanding of the vision. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant food, no meat or wine came into my mouth, nor did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. Now on the 24th day of the month, as I was by the side of the great river, that is the Tigris, I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose waist was girded with gold of Uphaz. His body was like beryl, his face like the appearance of lightning, and his eyes like torches of fire. His arms and feet like burnished bronze in color, and the sounds of the words like the voice of a multitude. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. For the men who were there with me did not see the vision, but a great terror fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone when I saw this great vision, and no strength remained in me, for my vigor was turned to frailty in me. And I retained no strength, yet I heard the sound of his words, and while I heard the sound of his words, I was in a deep sleep on my face, with my face to the ground suddenly, and had a hand touch me, which made me tremble on my knees and on my palms of my hands. And he said to me, O Daniel, man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak to you, and that stand upright, for I have been sent to you. While he was speaking these words to me, I stood trembling. Then he said to me, do not fear, Daniel, for from this first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before your God, Your words were heard, and I have come because of your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, and behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left alone there with the kings of Persia. If we could stand. Lord Jesus, we love you and praise you, God. We lift you up and worship you, Lord. And I ask you right now, Jesus, that you'd help me to get across the word that I feel that it is that you have for your people, God. Help us, God, to be able to receive this, God, and help to speak into our hearts and minds, God, that we would receive what it is that you have for us today. And we thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. You may be seated. If we look at this story here in Daniel, basically you had Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, Daniel. They were all pulled away from Israel, and they were taken into Persia as captive. So they were pretty much pulled out of their own home, out of their own land, and put somewhere else, and pretty much held as captive. And as you look at this, and I know I've talked about this before, but a lot of people have pulled the Daniel fast from this, and I laugh at that now knowing how much I've read this and looked into this, that he wasn't fasting, he was literally depressed. He was upset. He had been praying, and there were no prayers being answered. And if you don't believe me, go back and read the first part. He didn't say I was fasting. He said I was upset. He said I was beside myself. I was not in the mood. Therefore, he was doing what most people do when we get upset. And I feel a lot of us right now are in that same boat where we feel like we're struggling and we're trying and we're doing everything to keep pushing forward and keep moving forward, but everything we do, something keeps blocking and pushing us. Something keeps holding us back. Something keeps helping us. Something keeps us from being able to get to where we feel like we need to, and we're just tired. We're wore out. Whether it be a sickness, we can't seem to get over sicknesses. We can't seem to, as soon as we start to feel better, we get sick again. Or as soon as we start to do this, we have this happen. Or if it's a financial thing, as soon as you seem to crest that hill financially, things fall out from underneath you, and you're doing this. Or you're doing everything you can to get yourself together and get yourself where you need to be, and things just seem to come against you and not want to keep it happening. That, my friends, is attack of the devil. That is those princes of Persia, what he was talking about. That's the devil trying to work his way to keep you from being what you need to be. And the problem is a lot of us will look at this situation and we'll falter and we'll fail and we'll stumble, which we do. And if you say you don't, there's an altar right there. I bring it to you to repent, because it's a bold-faced lie. Everybody falters and fails in some way. Nobody's perfect. If you were, we would wait for you to ascend, because that's what would happen. And I'm not saying that to try to be shrewd or to be cruel. I'm saying that because we have to get a realization that we live in a fleshly body. We fight temptations. We fight struggles. We fight things. And you know what? We falter. We may fail. But the key thing that we need to take from all of this, and the key thing that we need to take from what the Bible tells us, is we do not need to give up. We need to be like that little engine, and as we strip or we stumble and we have an issue, we just keep going. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. And as we do this, and as we go on our way, and we feel like things are going up, and we get to a steep grade to where we feel like we're just pulling up against everything, in our spirit, we need to cry out, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. And I know this is crazy, because you're like, he's preaching from a children's book. He's lost it. But the problem is when you start looking for God, and you truly start trying to find God, you can find him anywhere. How I know this? I was in Jamaica. Y'all are like, yeah, I feel bad for you. Let me finish the story before you get upset with me. I was in Kingston, Jamaica, which, if you've ever been to Kingston, not much there. I was away from my family for close to a year, and it was that second trip that I made for the second call center that we'd put together. And I'd been away from church, been away from my family, been away from a lot. And y'all can believe me what you want. Y'all can think what you want. I really don't care. I was there. I know what I felt. I was in the midst of probably some of the deepest depression I could ever be in. I was hurting because I was lonely. I was tired. I was struggling because I'm like, you be away from your family long enough, it will drive you nuts. And out of all the songs that come on the radio, it was a song by Bob Marley. Yep, I was in Jamaica. What do y'all expect? They weren't playing the Gaithers. And the song is called Three Birds. And the song pretty much goes like this. Every little thing is going to be all right. And as that chorus repeated, I sat there in this little garden of the hotel that I stayed at. And y'all can think I'm crazy, but I was looking for something. I was searching for something because I was in pain. And I was hurting, and all I had there was a little song singing in the background. And it was singing, I'm singing, don't worry. Everything's going to be all right. And it just kept repeating the chorus after the chorus. And as I heard it, something stirred up in me, and I felt like the Lord was saying, don't worry. Every little thing is going to be all right. And I feel like tonight I've come to tell somebody, I'm singing, don't worry. Every little thing's going to be all right. Things are going to be fine because you have the greatest help you possibly can. All you're going through right now, all you're facing right now, all you're fighting right now is an attack. Once you get to the other side of that attack, once you crest that hill and you go over, you will not believe what God has in store for you. And what happens a lot of times is the Lord will start pulling us out of our comfort zone. Sister Rachel, he'll have you come up with ideas that you're not sure about. And you're like, I hope this goes over well. But you're going to trust and you're going to believe and you're going to step out and you're going to do it. But you're going to do it with the right spirit and the right attitude and you're going to do it in the right way. And the Lord's going to bless it. And that's what he's doing. And there's some of us that are stepping out into things and trying to do things. And we're trying to create things or create ministries or create stuff that we know needs to happen. And because of that, or we're trying to be a part of things. And because of that, the devil's not going to sit by and go, okay, go ahead. He's going to do that to the people who are sitting on the pew every day that just come in and punch their pay slip and go out the back door. He's not worried about them because he's got them. But those of us that are fighting, those of us that are trying to keep this going, those of us that are trying to do everything we can, the devil is going to fight us. So, if we look at Galatians 6:9, since I quoted a Bob Marley song and a little engine that could, I should read some more Bible. Galatians 6:9, it says, and let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. That is basically the God telling us that there's going to be times that you're going to struggle. There's going to be times that you're going to falter. There's going to be times that you're going to fail. But if you keep going, if you keep pushing, if you keep moving, if you keep doing everything that you're supposed to do, he is going to be there with you. He's going to see you through the other side. So the Bible talks about us being tried and us coming out as pure gold. Well, the whole point of when you do that, when you put metals in there, you're scraping off the slag and you're scraping off the stuff that doesn't belong there. And he's going to do that and he's going to scrape that off and he's going to scrape out that stuff that is in you that he wants to see taken away. And sometimes it doesn't feel good. Sometimes it hurts to have a part of us removed. Whether it's a part that shouldn't be there or not, sometimes it still hurts. And because of that, we are going to feel that. We're going to feel that moving. We're going to feel that churning. We're going to feel that fire burning in us and melting us and helping us form us. We're going to feel that. And if we look at Philippians 1:6, being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus. Basically, he started a work in you. He started a work in you when you first gave your life to God. And he's not going to finish it until it's not finished until he says it's finished. When he told the disciples to go to the other side of the water, he told them to go to the other side of the water. They freaked out in the middle of the water, not realizing he said go to the other side. If he told you to go to the other side, you're going to go to the other side and you're going to make it there. But we see the world and the waves crashing around us and we struggle and we fight. And we want to give up or we want to stop doing what we're supposed to because of that. When really what we need to do is put our head down and we need to go back to that little engine that could and we just need to say, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. It's such a cheesy little thing to say and it's such a silly little thing to go by. But it's such a profound thing if we put it to work Because if we stop letting the devil get us down, if we stop letting the devil push us, if we stop letting the devil try us, if we stop letting the devil do the things that we let him do to us, and we just push in, and we're like, through Jesus, I think I can. Through Jesus, honestly, why don't we switch it this way? Through Jesus, I know I can. I know I can. I know I can. I know I can. Because he's going to bring me through it. He's going to take me through it. He's going to help me through it. We have to get to the point to where we stop giving up. I'm going to preach to myself for a minute, so if y'all want to check out, that's fine. We finally signed on our house today, and I'm saying that because it's a praise report on my behalf. So I love it because we're officially out here. You're stuck with us now. Y'all didn't have to clap for that. Yeah, that was forced. I was kidding. So I was struggling through a lot of that. Brother Brandon got to see a lot of it. I know. I normally pick on you. Now you get to pick on me. Brother Brandon got to see a lot of it. And y'all think you get preached at on regular? I get preached at a lot of times at work because Brother Brandon will come up to you and go, "You stressing?" What does the Bible say about stressing? But here's the deal. That's iron sharpening iron. That's him taking care of me. That's him seeing a brother in need and trying to lift me up and not letting me. And there's been many times where I was ready just to go to the... Oh, wait, this is live. I won't say that. Was ready to get rid of the old house. How about that? How's that sound? Because in our own and on our own, when we struggle a lot, it's usually because we're trying to do it on our own. And I know I stated this earlier, but Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. If we look at Luke 10:38 through 42, now it happened as they went that he entered a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, who was also at Jesus' feet, heard his words, but Martha was distracted with much serving, and she approached him and said, "Lord, do you not care that my sister left me to serve alone? Therefore, tell her to help me." And Jesus answered and said to her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about many things, but one thing is needed, as Mary has chosen the good part, which will not be taken away from her." What he was telling her is, you are so focused and so distracted on everything else that you're forgetting the one thing that this is about. And that's what the devil wants you to do, is he wants you to see everything that's going on. He wants you to see what's faltering, what's failing, what's going wrong, what's not right, what's not this, what's not that. And he wants you to falter, and he wants you to fail, and he wants you to give up, because we will take our eyes off of Jesus. But just like Peter, as long as he had his eyes on God, if you read through that, as long as he had his eyes on God, as God was walking towards him, as long as he saw Jesus in his eyesight, and he didn't take it off him, he was walking on water. But then as soon as his focus got on the storm, or as soon as his focus got, and I'm telling you, this is probably speaking to me more than it is anybody. I had to tell Jesus this morning I was sorry for the temper tantrum I threw yesterday. But I was so worried about everything that was going on that I had used it as an opportunity to take my eyes off of Jesus, and I had an opportunity to take my eyes off of what he was doing. And so because of that, I started to sink, and I started to falter, and I started to get mad and upset and throw a little temper tantrum. And you know, I was in the middle of the store. If he was legitimately my father walking with me and kicking and screaming, "I want this," and he's like, "You don't need that just yet. Wait." But we do that, and we end up giving up because, first off, we will focus on what we think should happen and how quickly it should happen, not realizing that there's a process and there's a purpose. I still couldn't tell you the process and the purpose of what we went through with this house. I'm sure in the by and by it will be revealed to me, and I'll probably go, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." But as of right now, I'll be honest with you, there's still some times I'm like, I have no clue. Maybe it was just patience. Maybe it was just him trying to see if I could trust him enough to do the work. But we're all going through something at some point and some time. And I've always said, and I firmly believe this, you're in one of three stages. You're either coming out of, going into, or in the middle of a battle. Because if you think about the way that the Bible describes this, it describes it as a marathon, it describes it as a daily walk, it describes it as a battle. It never describes it as a quick finish or a snap your fingers and it done. It always describes what we go through as something that's going to take time and something we're going to have to walk through. So what I come to you tonight, in just this short time, and if you can stand, and if we can get the praise team back up here, because I want to sing that song again, because this is what it's going to take for us to do what we need to do, is we're going to have to give ourselves over to God. Plain and simple. It's nothing fancy, nothing profound that I'm stating, but we have to give ourselves over to God. Because if you give yourself completely over to Him, if you give yourself to put it in His hands, doesn't matter what you're going through, it doesn't matter what you're facing. I could sit up here probably for a good couple hours and tell you stories of insurmountable situations being met by a